Yeah, the bandages actually make this a lot more viable. To say I'm reluctant to pull it all the way, because that leverage is extremely helpful. I wonder if I can just... I don't want to go all the way through, that's the thing. That helps. Rip that chunk off. I think separating them is going to be really helpful. So I wonder, I think if I can get this bit separated, I don't think I'm going to manage it with these. Oh, maybe I can. I'm not using any of the good scissors on this, that's for sure. If I can get rid of this bit in the middle, not going to help. And treat them as two separate pieces then. Okay. So in theory, nice. Now I can deal with one at a time. That's going to be a lot easier to get my hands around. And get rid of some of the spikes as well while I'm at it. Also, just to clarify, you can probably tell from the audio, but I'm in a respirator because, you know, doors closed, dust, etc. And I don't much fancy taking the risk, so I'm not gonna. Never let anyone tell you that PPE is uncool. Having the use of your lungs is the coolest thing. Trust. Keep it along here. I keep getting little reminders like, oh, it's only so many days until MCM. But thanks, guys. Trust me, I don't need reminding. I assure you, I am freaking out. In fairness, I think at the minute it's one of those, like, I've got a lot of the pieces. It's just putting them all together, you know? and also trying to stop myself from adding extra details as I'm going. That that's been a whole problem. Sometimes violence is the answer. What can I say? Feels so unnecessary, but also it's kind of working. Started off very controlled, and now I'm here like, nah. But on the plus side, it looks like a rare instance of the mold release actually working to a helpful extent. So I will say that top surface is going to be an issue. By the time I've polyfilled everything, it's kind of like, probably going to be okay. I'm going to have to drill all that shit. Wonder if I can get in and under there. Yeah. Yeah, so far, I expected this to take me many, many hours. Fingers crossed. It will not be that. Or stremeling it is still going to take me a while. But I don't need to Dremel it. Like, actually, no, I do need to Dremel it accurately. That's a lie. I'm going to say, oh, I don't have to do it super accurately, but no, if I am molding the thing, then yes, I do. Realistically. So, oh well, I guess. Can I get in under you? I feel like I can't. Right along that edge. But you fused. Wonder if I can just stab this. Gotta be careful with that bit, because that's where you fuse. I mean, this edge isn't going to matter because I need to make it shorter than that anyway. But I want to be vaguely careful regardless. So actually, that's not too bad. Compared to the amount of cleanup I've had to do on these things before, that's pretty decent. So I'll just get rid of this pile. And then that's not too bad. How much of this can I cut? Probably not as much as I'd like. Might end up just being a Dremel thing later. Annoyingly. Trying to contain all the mess, but it's not going to work. So it isn't. It's just wishful thinking. I may even end up taking a hacksaw to this. If I can. If I have vice position that will allow. Which I might not. Ouch. Ow. Why did I think that was going to work? That's going to be too solid, I think. Yeah, a lot of this I'm not going to be able to get in with gizzles. That's not too bad to start with. And again, I need to remember to take pics, so bear with me. There's no way I'm going to use all of these, but it's nice to have them. Alright. Let me put this one down to one side for a bit, and I'll work on this one. No, I don't want to take a video, I want to take a photo, damn it. Okay. Alright, let me go back to stabbing things. You know what I've just got back into? A of all things, frickin' Helldivers. So I literally started playing it, what, day before yesterday? Yeah, it was Monday evening. So actually that means that this evening we were going to try and play again. But yeah, literally started playing it Monday evening after over a year. And playing it with mates is a requirement. I'll be honest, as far as enjoyment, you want to be playing with friends. And we played through just a couple of missions, and by the end of it we were like, why did we ever stop playing this? And we realized it was because one mate of ours is like the ultimate flake, and that's the only reason. Like, if he couldn't make it, we were like, oh, okay, well, I guess we'll rearrange, and then it just kept being that. So we just didn't play for ages. But he flaked again, and we decided, nah, sod it, we're going to play anyway. It was actually really good fun. But it had literally been over a year, at least since I'd played it. Because I loaded in, and I got given a bunch of rewards, and it tells you, like, how many days ago it's from, and it was, like, 400 and something days. So I just had to sit and click through, like, over a year's worth of random rewards that I didn't actually get. Because I didn't participate in any of the events, so I don't get it, but it's funny though. It's one of those games you need to play with friends. Like, it's a totally different experience. It's one of those things, it's thoroughly enjoyable the whole time you're not taking it remotely seriously. It was good for a giggle. I had a good laugh. Loaded in with exclusively offensive stratagems, all orbitals, just like old times. Except for the last match of the evening, where I swapped one out for the mech and used it to defend as we were waiting for the ship to drop. It was glorious. And punched a mate of mine and dove into the extraction ship. Oh, amazing. But I love stuff like that. I think those sorts of games, they then become kind of timeless, because it's not about the game, it's about the interactions you're having with your mates. It's just the game helps to facilitate that level of stupidity. And I think that sort of thing's important. That's what friends are all about. You bully each other lovingly, you know? There's no peace, but there is love. And it's one of those things I'm still trying to get into the headspace of, like, you know, I'm not having to get up the next day to go contend with a super exhausting job that I hate. So now I feel more like doing these sorts of things, you know? And, like, I can make that sort of time. I can allow for these things, because I can then base what I end up doing the following day around, okay, well, I've been up that evening, so it's not going to be a 1 a.m. start. Well, technically 12:50, but basically 1 a.m. So I can make allowances for actually hanging out with people, you know? Everything's all kind of up in the air at the minute. So, as things stand, I'm just sort of rolling with it. Things will change. They will need to change. But at the minute, it's like, well, MCM is my only focus. Everything else that I need to deal with, I deal with after MCM. This is the biggie for me. So I'm going to allow it to remain such, at least for now. This is a really thick bit of plaster. Good God. Not sure that leverage is going to be enough to contend with that. Yeah. I wonder if I can make this any sharper. Probably, but I'm tempted to just use a screwdriver instead. Oh yeah, this has got a super point on it. Use this. I don't think I'll need a mallet if I've got it this pointy. Just making holes in it, not cracking it. I wonder. Kinda. Yep, nice. Okay. Huge. See if I can do the same. I think that's what I ended up doing last time. I just forgotten. Alright, that's worked pretty well. It is weird and sticky in places, but I'm hoping that left out in the air for a bit, it will sort itself out. It's also why I'm in a respirator, because the stuff tends to stink when it's first demolded. So if anything's been inhibiting that cure, it should sort itself out by the time I come to like actually trimming stuff. I think that's the compromise with the mold release working really well, is that it's going to mess with that initial surface. Which is fine in this instance because I'm building on top of it. It'd be a problem later on, so try and make a mental note. But also knowing me, I'll forget. Right. The screwdriver back. I'll also go whack the bradawl somewhere else. And the mallet. Don't need that. Currently. Grab some of these. Actually, I was expecting there to be a lot more mess than there was. But that's only because it all kind of came off pretty cleanly. That's pretty decent. Main thing is going to be tidying it all up. Because I want to get some polyfiller down, but also the edges are annoying. Let me try and trim what I can see, I guess. And then if it ends up being a hacksaw thing, then that's doable. Maybe. It depends where I can position stuff. Ouch. Get this bit off? Not really. I don't want to get too close though, because I don't want to wreck that edge. I'll just take the very outer. I can at least make it less annoying to hold later on, then that's a plus. Covered in stuff, and there are so many holes in these gloves. Oh well. Don't know how I'm going to be able to get to these bits. Don't think I am. Fluffy bits, which is a good thing, really, but can't cut through them with these scissors because they are not sharp enough. Again, I don't really want to be blunting any other scissors, because I'm going to have to saw through all of this anyway, so... Can't really feel that fan. I'm quite warm. Let me move it slightly. I just hope it doesn't get stuff everywhere. Probably will though. No, still can't feel it. Okay, that's better. But it's definitely going to move all this. Oh well. In fairness, I probably don't actually need the bin liner down. It didn't make as much mess as I was geared for it to. It's probably actually fine. Annoying, because if I had one of those the little hand saws, I might be able to do something here, but I don't know whether a hacksaw is going to be too big. What have I got? Do I really want to use a nice new saw on fiberglass? The answer is no, not really. So what I might do instead is use an old saw. I'll have to do it off cam because of where the vice is. Don't think I'm going to be able to make a lot of progress with it anyway, to be honest. I think I'm going to be able to reach a lot of places. Also, as far as vices, there's nothing I'm going to be able to fit this in particularly. It's a nice idea, but I don't think it's going to work. I think Dremel is just the sensible choice. It's also loud. Like, very loud. And it's just going to take me a long time if I try and do it quietly. I don't really want to mess with this a whole bunch until it's kind of calmed itself down a bit. Because even polyfilling stuff is going to be a pain. Where's the other one? This one's less gummy. Can I get in here at all? A little bit. Then it gets too thick, so I can't do anything anyway. Still think I'm just going to be wasting my time trying to tidy that up. So what I might do is, like, really roughly sand some bits. Like, rough is rough, but literally just try to fix some of the surface. I can try and get some of the bandage off. Again, I don't like sanding indoors, but I don't have a lot of choice. And at least because this is gummy, I'm not expecting it to make a whole lot of dust. It's mostly just getting the fibers off. Like, maybe a little bit, but not as much as usual. There's plenty of bits I'm going to have to polyfiller over. Not the end of the world, not really. And a lot of the bad edges, again, I can take on with a Dremel. I get this piece off. Yeah, I can. Nice. So that's the other thing, is that these back straps are much longer than they need to be. So I need to figure out where I'm cutting them off. And I get any of this out the way. A little bit. Not as much as I'd like, but a little bit. Gonna be too thick, or can I get away with that? If I can get in there, I think I can get away with that. Just about, but only a little bit. Just the angle. It's not as stabby, because I tried not to get the resin all the way up to the very end, so it's like a lot more sort of fluffy looking, because being stabbed all the time is kind of annoying. So I'd actually allowed for that this time. But a lot of this is too thick to cut through anyway. But I still want to try and protect that edge. So I'm going to cut from far away. Because when it separates, it goes further than where I'm cutting. I think that's going to be too thick to get through. Oh no, that's fine. Okay. An acceptable time to start using power tools on a weekday. Like, I want to say 7, but probably not. But then also I have a thing at 7, so never mind. That's the way I spin it, I'm going to have to deal with all of this later. Probably from like 9 or something. I don't really want to touch this bit because it's too close to that. That's a very good edge. I think I might do a thin layer of polyfiller so that when I get around to this later I can sand stuff. Thinking that might help. I'm not sure I had to cut a whole lot more than that, to be honest. So I'm just going to try and get rid of some of the fibres. Yeah, the edges I'm still going to have to Dremel. What I might do is run my extractor. So it's not a lot of dust, but there's still enough for me to be like, nah. I don't enjoy it a whole bunch. So I might clear up some of this. Move the bin liner, because it will just go into the extractor. Then at least I can feel slightly better about the dust situation. But even then, not a whole bunch. Not really. Whatever way I spin it, it's going to be a mess, and I accept that that is my fate. Let's see if I can whack all of this in the bin. At least most of it. If I want to keep the liner, because that's perfectly usable. This is actually pinned down fairly well, so I don't think that's going to be a problem. And I'll just try to bring this forward a little bit. Emphasis on try. Right. Hopefully, that's good enough. Turn it on. Right. Do a piece at a time. Better than not. At least I can get rid of some of the fluffy bits. If I can get some of the bandage off of this, that's probably preferable. Because otherwise it ends up wrapped around the drum a bit. It isn't an immediate problem, but it will probably become an issue. So I'd rather not. Okay. I reckon I can do that. Yeah, a layer of polygon now. And then when I come round to doing more to this later, it might have to be unhelpful. Trying to find someone to hold it at the end. Okay. Okay, cool. Thanks very much. Focus. Camera. Focus. Focus. Hello. Okay. I hope it's not been doing that the whole time. Do I need to bring it down a bit? Is that going to help it slightly? Maybe. Focus. Please. Yeah, I've really not been watching the camera feed, so I have no idea whether it's been doing that this whole time or not. But I hope not. That's in there. Focus down. Maybe. Maybe that. That on myself. Grabbing my vest towards it as well. Kind of funny. I deliberately wore black so that I could see how dusty I was before I went back. I expected carnage, so it's fine. Ordinarily I'd use a standing block, but because I'm not actually looking to change the way the surface is at the minute, like I'm not bothering. I'm just looking to get rid of the block. So conforming to the curves that are already there is always be comfortable. So the polyfill is a bit of a it's probably going to be a thermal thing for later. Hopefully this will make everything a little less gummy. Oh, that's fun. Seems to be that. It is whatever. I'll cut it away anyway. I won't bother with that now. It's a lot better than it was, but there are a few areas on here that I can see are gold. So I think probably take it out there. So I will be doing that. That's done a lot better than how it started. Oh hey, how's it going? Thanks, no worries. Yeah, catch you later. You're all good. Don't worry about it. I am more than happy just vibing on the own. So you do you. But thanks for saying hi. As I said before, because I do these things at weird times, I kind of just expect to be on my own. So I am not worried. I'm going to do the same thing to the other one. And then I might CRB to go and see how much of this has actually managed to get through my gloves. Because probably quite a lot. Which is no bueno. So I also need them to take pictures. Because as usual, I keep forgetting. I stand them up. Kind of. No, not a video, just take the picture, damn it. Alright. Here's the better example, I think. Alright. I will now deal with the other one. think I will do the cauliflower, and then I will have to put them out. Well, I've still got the other thing to do like that, actually. Yeah, I still have the costume. Good job, man. Overzealous as per. I think what I will do, considering time, if I stand these fish, then polycolour them, then look at the top. I think that then gives you the best chance of drying down for the rest of them. Because I ain't giving them a full day. That, that's a nice thought. It's good, alright. If it's going to go a massive living time. And I clean this up a bit. Right, because it was useless, once again. That's my reluctance to stuff anything away at that point. That's something I was discussing with my mate yesterday. Like, I won't call it hoarding because it's useful. So it's fine. He's the same. Every time he walks through the workshop, he like takes bits of scrap wood out the bin, just stores it in his office. Like, oh, I'll probably use that at some point. Yeah, probably. I'm exactly the same, except with like foam offcuts and bits of sandpaper. You know what this reminds me of? When you're gutting pumpkin Halloween. That's what they use my brush to make things off. And it's getting on for that time of year, which I'll be able to enjoy once I've dealt with all of this. But until then, it is exclusively stressful. See, that's not looking too bad after all that. I think that's pretty alright. I am very warm. I think this is looking. Love that old RSI. There aren't many things in life that scare me. Things like arthritis definitely freak me out. Anything that's going to stop me from making stuff, I'm immediately like, yeah, no, absolutely not. Like, where I used to work, there was an entire barrel of caustic liquid that we used to clean stuff. And I refused to ever get trained on operating it, basically. Because if that ends up in my eyes, that ruins my life. And no job is worth that. So I just refused. And to this day, I am glad that I did so, because that barrel has leaked several times. So I'm dealing with absolutely none of that. Because it's attached to like a hose, like a vacuum pump. And if that pump see, then game over, man, game over. Feeling is exactly none. I've already had to have my eyes irrigated once. I'm not feeling relaxed again. It was horrendous. And that one, that was, I was advised to do that. And it was my fault for trying to help a mate of mine. This waste cylinder exploded. It got all up in his face, and I got a little bit in one eye. It's all in the hair, but I got a little bit in an eye and said, you know what, I ain't dealing with that. I'm fluffing this. So we both ended up in A&E. We both ended up having our eyes irrigated. I would not recommend participating in things that would lead to the need for eye irrigation. I'm not going to say that I don't recommend having your eyes irrigated because it's important. In those scenarios, you absolutely should. And if I could go back and do anything differently, then I wouldn't. But it was a horrendous experience, and something I was very much surprised was as awful as it was. One of the nurses jokingly beforehand had said that you were going to get water for this. He wasn't joking, though. That is accurate thought about it. So, you know, be safe out there. Don't do anything that could risk your well-being. Not for that extent. You know, risks are important to take. Nothing changes without conflict, you know. That's why I am not conflict averse. Averse? One of those. I don't shy away from conflict. There's no progress without conflict, but it becomes the kind of risk of conflict. And we so for me, risking things like my eyesight or a job that I hated and that didn't care about me, yeah, no, I'm not doing that. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't take risks in general, you know. The things that are uncertain in life are the sort of, you know, high risk, high reward type thing. Not always, but sometimes. I'd say like a calculated risk is not a bad, you know. Something that kind of objectively on the surface is, yeah, definitely not dead stress sort of outcome. If it's something that you think you've got the capacity for, then yeah, cool. And if it leads towards something that is ultimately better for you, then yeah, cool. try it. But you've got to weigh up your content. So like with everything I'm doing at the minute, it's a risk, it's taking in it, but it's a risk that I'm currently able to take because of my financial situation. So it's definitely a risk, it's a huge risk, but it's something that I weighed up the pros and cons, and there are more pros to this, even if it doesn't work in the way that I would like it to. My point being, through the rambling, risks aren't necessarily bad things, but there are plenty that only have negative outcomes. Things like substance abuse, right? That, no, I don't mess with that. But also, I think I've got kind of a bias because I know myself very well, right? So even things like AI, chatbot, I don't know. Because I'm someone that like, yeah, I'm totally fine in my own company. But if I want social interaction and my friends are doing it, I will not go and type something to an AI chatbot because that is a slippery slope and I refuse to engage with it. Because I know personally, I find that having deep, meaningful conversations with people is difficult. Not in like an arrogant way, but I'm coming from a different place than most people. With all the neurological bits that I've got going on, it's a fairly lonely place, you know? It's hard to find people that I can talk to that can kind of grasp the full extent of things. They can say they understand, but I know that they don't. And that's why I refuse to go anywhere near AI, because if they're trained off me, then obviously they will come to understand. And how on earth am I going to pull away from that? You know? I can have the strongest will in the world, but if I find something that I can talk to that actually understands the gravity of something, breaking away from that is going to be helpful. So I just refuse to ever get involved in that. And I've been the same with things like drugs and like, right? I've always been somebody that puts more value. It's a catch-22, right? Because I've always put more value on managing stuff myself. And that's kind of what stops me ever turning to anything else to help me. Which, you know, in terms of like substance abuse, objective plus, I've never even considered it. Because it just runs counter to my value system. But also, it means that on the occasions where I really have needed help, I've just not asked. So, you know, be careful out there. Know your limits. Try to be sensible with stuff. Consider the ramifications. I have never had any dependency and I aim to keep it that way. I have good days, I have bad days, but I have never needed something to make a day survivable, I guess. Like, yes, I am now medicated for ADHD, good shit, but on my days off, I don't take it because there may be days that are not. And even then, I'm getting a lot of stuff done. I'm not getting it done with the efficiency of being on, right? It's a lot harder to get stuff done, but I am still doing stuff. So it's not a dependency. I can still work without it. It just makes things easier. So there's a difference. And it's, not inherently harmful. At least not for me. But that's the other thing, is that I don't have like an addictive personality. This is a blessing, because, with things like ADHD, they tend to go hand in hand. So chasing that dopamine and what have you. But I'm lucky, that's not been a thing for me. That's not something I've ever had to struggle with. I think take me ages to stand to the screen. Well, I think what I'll do then is I'll do some polyfiller. Fully expecting to run into this fluffy bits of the ground. And now I'm just going to do a little bit just along the main surface, I think. Or do I just wait until I've done the edges? Because the only thing I worry about is sort of manhandling stuff and having bits bunch off. That's probably what will end up happening. I don't really want to be dealing with that. Not really. So I might leave the polyfiller I did. Yeah, pretty. I might leave the polyfiller I did for later. And just work on demolding that other piece for now. The whole time this stays flexible, I'm more, well, I say flexible, reasonably flexible. And I'm less worried about when I'm tidying all the edges up. Less of a problem. So I may pivot and do the other fiberglass piece. Very much dust here, degree. Despite my best efforts, still can happen, I suppose. Where is the dustpan? It's where I left it. Result. That doesn't happen as often as I'd like. Yes, I am about to create a mess, however. There's only so much mess I can give it a time. Get everyone else I like. Yeah, it's better than not. So where's my other piece? Ah, here. Now in fairness, I might just not set up the bin liner. Because it was easy enough to clear up the last one, and this should be a little simpler, I hope. Before I get going, it might be an idea to get a quick pick. No, don't take a video, just take a picture. I don't agree. So annoying. Help that I get really OCD with this mat underneath. Good enough. Right, let's try and do this one. If it works similarly to the last one, then we'll be a really good search. But we'll see. It might get tricky down here. Now, if I take a mallet to this, I've turned this off because if it swallows a piece of this, it will just kick it out of my face. So I'm going to not do that. Why does this feel like it's coming loose? Probably is. This one feels more stuck, annoyingly. This might actually take me longer than the other two. We'll see. Maybe I'll have a better time with a hammer rather than a mallet. Ooh, actually, ignore that. There's a big metal mallet. This is heavy though. Right. God. I might have an easier time doing that. Yeah, swinging this, I don't want to damage the fiberglass, so I can't just drop it on here. So, I'm just going to bash this into it. Which feels really silly, but I'm actually going to get better leverage on it. Yeah. Oh, hell yeah, this one's coming away. Okay, so that bit's working. Right, this isn't actually too bad. At the minute. Let me try and do the same thing again. Further down this one. I get in and under here. Kind of. Not as much as I'd like, though. Alright. That's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. This bit down here is still a problem. But I'd expected as much. Can I get any of this off of here? Yes, whilst also ramming glass into my hand. Not the biggest brain of players. Oh well. Probably not going to work like that. I mean, I want to try and get this all off in one bit. I'm giving up on that. Ignore the dust cloud. This is all future me problems. I need a new bin liner. Once I've dealt with this, I'll change the bin out. This actually didn't end up as fluffy as the other two though, so that's a plus. Getting all these bits off around the edges is going to be annoying. I wonder how much of it is cuttable. Hopefully, a fair amount because it doesn't go around an annoying corner. See how much I can cut away. Hopefully a decent amount. Managing to get more off than I thought I would. Not too bad. to. Probably not a whole lot. Nah, not a whole lot. A sensible place to stop. So it gets real thick beyond that. And I take enough of that though. I'll try. That little bit is too thick and I don't want to end up encroaching on any of the other important areas. If I split it now, I'm going to be annoyed. And then I'll do that sanding thing. Then again, polyfiller can't really, I mean I can, but I shouldn't really do until after I've tidied the edges. Particularly for this one because of this bit. Real thick in here as well. Right, yeah, I'll give this a bit of a chance. And then I'll have to wait to do the rest later. I've also got to drop off a parcel today. Ugh. So many things that I have to wait for. It's annoying. If I lived out in the middle of nowhere, I could use power tools right now and no one would care. And that would be awesome. But alas, I have to wait for the rest of the world to wake up. It's super lame. Can I just... Then it gets tricky. Oh, unless... No, it's just stuck. Okay, fine. Fine, be like that. As is your right. Unless... Ooh, alright. Not bad. Again, it saves me gumming up the Dremel later. Nice, nice, nice. Probably should have kept the old gloves on and binned them after this, because these ones have been shredded. At least then I wouldn't have wasted anything particularly. Whereas I'm not sure these are going to be a whole bunch salvageable at this juncture. Oh well. Right, let me sweep up as much of this as I can. And then I'll just sand that one down a little bit, and then consider my options. Because in fairness, this one shouldn't flex a whole lot anyway. The chest pieces will because of the straps. But that's just a solid piece, so it should be okay. I would have thought. I might polyfiller that one. Let me change up the thin liner as well. Oh, that's heavy. Okay. That's that dealt with. Now, thin liners. Where art thou? Are they still... Okay. That's fine. Right, let me pin this up over here. I might do a couple of pegs on there. Doesn't usually get that heavy, but it's a little more secure. That's fine. That's fine. Right. Do this again. Not that it does a whole lot of good, but I feel slightly better that it's running. It's definitely less gummy than the other two. I think it was just a mold release thing. Which is fine because when it comes to the silicone mold, I don't really have to do a whole lot with that because it's silicone and it doesn't feel like it. But plaster is going to be a plaster if it so it's easy to do not, but then it's just perfect to look at the distance. Not the end of the world, though. The preliminary solid colour on there. It's actually as far as it being fluffy, not very nice. The edge of the thing, I think it is. gums. Definitely even need it. Be a lot quicker anyway. See, that's the other thing, is that my hair's aware how long it could take to keep my compulsiveness to it. Mm-hmm. Those are things that I just always follow later. Like that would be that is the same thing. But also if I do it like preliminary learning, then I can see what I need to do. And so I can do it later. Get away with doing one on the not on the test because then I'm but this one I think I just feel a little bit. Try and clear some of the time. Turn that off. Have a look at this. I'm gonna take the gloves off. my thumb is absolutely covered in muck. So I'm actually gonna bend the glove and get some of this crud off my thumb. Not particularly surprised, to be honest. And the gloves didn't help me a whole bunch, annoyingly. Hands are covered in stuff. Annoying. Right. I'm gonna go wash them real quick because, again, I'm not really a fan of chancing these things. So, yeah, wash my hands, and then I'll come back to do some polyfiller stuff. So, bear with me real quick. Right, that I've changed my gloves to just some of these because I don't trust that it's going to be totally free of all the stickiness. That's like that's half an idea, really. Already, God, gloves just they don't want to survive. Where is my board? There it is. Let me clear some of the muck off of this board real quick. That clears most of the crud off of that. Good enough. Right, just gonna move out the way again for a second. Right. Let me find a small palette knife. This one. And actually, I should clean that off as well. That's doable. Cool. That deals with that. So I'm probably going to want to use one of these anyway. What's the one I had been using? Because that was really nice. Maybe someone else used it at some point and put it back somewhere different. There was a paint scraper I'd prefer to use because it's not covered in rust and but for whatever reason that is not with the other paint scrapers. This one's not terrible, I suppose. I basically want to use a bigger surface so I can try and get things a little more even. Because the small one's awesome. But as far as getting kind of a general thing going, I guess I can use this one. It's annoying though. I did have a really nice one. So now I got this one. I might just hide this one. Not as nice as I want it to be, but it's also not as grim as this one is. So it's better than not. Let's try and find that other one now. That is super annoying. Right. Mix a bunch of this. I have to turn the fan off while I'm doing so. For reasons I should think of probably kind of obvious. Let me also go get some water. Didn't need a whole ton. Damn it. I only really want to do a little bit at a time. And I don't know if that's going to be too little. Also likes to get absolutely ruddy everywhere. I'll take this off actually. Should be fine for a minute. Still going to get everywhere, I'm sure. I'll do my best. I like to try and contain things as best I can. Definitely too wet now. Trying to add more of this to it. Being a dumb amount, which it probably will be. That's not too bad. So I'm going to turn the fan back on because I'm dying. Alright. Where's a sensible place to start? Probably over here somewhere. Fair enough, I might be able to get away with using a smaller one. Just didn't want it to take me ages, that's all. And also trying to keep everything even across the board. But because there's still a curve on it, it might actually be better to use this one. I don't know. At least slap it on with this one. Might be easier with the smaller one. I'm taking this off just to highlight any areas that are dodgy. Because I'm not actually looking to make anything close to the end surface of this. Just want to try and fill some of the awkward areas and get a slightly clearer view. And it should inform how I tackle stuff later on. Because this is going to be an interesting one to model, because I want it to be in 3 pieces. So this is going to be the base for those 3 pieces. I'm then going to mold and cast them at different stages. That's my current plan. We will see how that holds up. But that's the plan. It makes sense when I actually start doing it. But at the minute, it just sounds needlessly complicated, which it also is. But it's madness with a fairly solid foundation. Yeah, the edges are going to be fun to deal with later. But that is a late thing. At least I can kind of see a little bit better. I'm just looking to give myself something to sand later, to be honest. Kind of condense as much of the process as I possibly can. And I don't really want to mess with the test pieces because of the flux. Right, that's no good. No. It should just help me see things a little bit better later. not bad. Definitely have to faff with it later, but as far as just kind of trying to fill in those annoying little divots where all the plaster bandages were, that's not the worst. Not the worst. Which has me considering whether I do it on the front of these. This is the preliminary. Because if I'm sanding, then I'm sanding, right? There are quite a few little imperfections I can see in there. I might leave that one off to one side somewhere for a bit because it's pretty self-containing, so I'm not worried about where it's laying. I might just do this bit is pretty flat and unmoving. I'm not going to bother with the strap because again the flex is going to be a thing. So I may just do a little bit of the flat surfaces. At this point, everything I'm doing, I'm trying to do as a means of condensing processes and doing everything in one go, more or less. Probably fine. And brush any debris off of this that is still on there. Just a bit. Good turn the fan back on. Already perishing. I don't think I'm going to be able to open the door yet. I think it's still going to be too dark. Yeah, it's not even 5 yet. Probably get away with being a little more liberal with this. Handing stuff anyway. See, this is why I think the bigger one's going to be handy. Slap some of this on here. Bad shout. still miss the other one I had. It was much nicer than this. It is annoying. Definitely a better way of approaching these. Let me look at the other one. I think I'll just alternate between all of them. Do this. Work on a bit, look at the next. Work on a bit, look at the next. Yada yada. Loves a shot to ship. Oh well. It's too thick there. I don't want to mess with what I've already got under there. But also, it needs to be thick enough to actually cover stuff. So, otherwise it's kind of pointless. not the worst. I don't mind it. Not the best either, but at the minute, it doesn't actually matter. So I shall fight with myself and I shall put it down. The crotch one is still drying in places, so I'm reluctant to fast. As much as I'd like to, I shouldn't, because I can see that it's still damp. So I'll clear these bits off. And then a lot of it I'm not going to have to do for later. Fine now. This one's 5, okay. That's not very bad. That means I've been going for a couple hours, right? I've done the usual 2.5, so that's good. Yeah, 2.5. Sweet. Then I've done what I usually do. And that's probably going to be fine. For now, at least. Means I can go sort out a couple of bits and pieces that I'll need to do later. Namely, get that parcel ready to roll. And then I should be able to stream gremlin stuff later, but it depends whether it ends up being annoying to set up. It'd be nice if I could, but also, who knows. I'm going to need that little cup of water later. But that's good enough for now. Clear up some of this at least. And yeah, I might be able to stream it later, I might not. At the minute, I genuinely don't know. My intent will be to do so, but it depends on what the setup ends up looking like. If I don't need to add a bunch of extra steps, then epic, I can do it. If I do, then I will just get on with it off stream. We'll see. We'll see. But for now, that's kind of all I can do for the minute. So yeah, I will have to catch you guys in a bit, whatever that ends up being. So, you know, laters.